Understanding the daily operation of a major religion requires moving past its abstract beliefs and examining the physical structure of its sacred books. For the three Abrahamic faiths, this structure begins with the Tanakh, the Bible, and the Quran. People often assume these religions, and specifically the branches within Christianity, operate from the same textual foundation. But the Bible is not a single unified document. Its composition varies significantly depending on the denomination printing it. Catholic and Protestant Bibles use different book counts and include different ancient writings, creating a physical discrepancy between the two. By mapping these specific textual inputs, we can see exactly how a book's composition dictates a religion's real-world worship. To compare these faiths, we track 3 data points: the core text, the origin figure, and the resulting daily liturgy. In Judaism, the Tanakh consists of 39 distinct books. This collection centers on the laws received by Moses, specifically the 10 Commandments delivered at Mount Sinai. This textual foundation translates into the Amidah, a central prayer of blessings and supplications that forms the core of Jewish daily liturgy. Islam defines the Quran not as a historical compilation, but as the direct, literal revelation of Allah's word. Muhammad is the final prophet who conveyed this specific message to humanity. Because the text is considered an unalterable revelation, it requires a synchronized daily ritual known as salah, obligatory prayer and physical recitation, performed 5 times a day. For both traditions, a fixed textual origin creates a direct and highly structured daily routine. Christianity uses a dual structure, dividing its holy book into the Old and New Testaments. While the Old Testament is shared with Judaism, the New Testament features contributions from major historical figures like St. Paul. Catholic and Protestant denominations both agree on the same 27 books for their New Testament. However, the Catholic Bible includes 46 Old Testament books, bringing its total count to 73. This higher number is due to 7 deuterocanonical books that the Catholic Church considers part of the sacred canon. The Protestant Bible contains 66 books, as it omits those 7 Old Testament writings. Reformers like Martin Luther chose to align their Old Testament specifically with the 39 books of the Jewish Canon. Removing those 7 books meant severing ties with the established Catholic canon, creating a textual divide that would persist for centuries. This disagreement over the Old Testament canon created 2 distinct textual foundations, setting Western Christianity on 2 separate operational paths. These textual differences eventually dictated how these 2 groups built their churches and spoke during worship. For centuries, Catholic liturgy was conducted in Latin, a language not spoken by the local populations. Because the scripture was read in a non-local tongue, the church relied on visual storytelling to teach biblical narratives. This led to the ornate interiors of Catholic churches, filled with stained glass and paintings depicting biblical scenes. Protestants prioritized making scripture accessible in the native tongue of the believer. When the congregation could understand the spoken word directly, the focus of worship shifted away from visual imagery. This shift is visible in Protestant architecture, which often features a prominent pulpit and plain walls to keep the focus on the read text. An observer can identify a denomination's historical view on textual access just by looking at the interior of its building. The physical composition of a holy book dictates the liturgical structure of daily life, and textual changes directly lead to changes in liturgical action. For the comparative student, the 66-book versus 73-book gap is the primary indicator of historical religious divergence. For the cultural observer, tracking the language of the service and the placement of the pulpit reveals the underlying textual rules of a church. Despite these differences in book counts and architecture, a deep reverence for the physical text remains a unifying trait. To understand how a religion functions today, you must first account for how its books